Hey everyone, welcome to Podcast for Your Life, and welcome to our very first ever, and probably last, live episode.
This is incredible. From a conference room near you. And yes, this could be the last ever if it bombs. So
Yeah,
we're going to apologize ahead of time.
Yep.
But I think we could have done a live episode about live episodes.
That's true. Although we wouldn't have a lot to say because we've never done one before.
That's true.
So
That's true.
that might be a little hard. But
Yeah, wow. Well, today's topic is nostalgia, nostalgia for your life. And it was suggested by a former colleague of ours. We're nostalgic about that colleague.
oh yeah,
right
absolutely.
now.
Robert Newkirk, as
Oh,
many of
Robert.
you know. So
We miss you.
yes, we do. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, this topic has a lot going on. For instance, we had to look up the word. I mean, to get the actual definition right.
Yep.
Normally, we try to do zero research at all, so that we can fully deny any wrong answers we gave. We can be like, oh, we didn't look it up, so it's not our fault.
That's right.
So
No research. Today, though, for this topic, we actually did less than 15 minutes of research, keeping in line with the structure of this podcast. So what would you say is nostalgia, Jam?
So the first one, we just did the first definition.
Sure, yeah.
It's a sentimental longing or wistful affection for the past, typically for a period or place with happy personal associations.
Wow, our definitions are usually a lot shorter.
Yeah, they are. Like, I mean, the second one here is a longing for a sanitized impression of the past, which I think is a lot shorter, more like what we are used to saying.
Yeah. I mean, nostalgia, I think, is just like looking back or having like these sensations about like the past or like a place that you were, or a person, or smells. Smells is mine. I think I get a lot of nostalgic feelings from smells. I don't know why.
Yeah. What was this? You had another bit of research here about some experts.
Yeah. Well, some people call nostalgia like a screen memory. And I guess what that kind of looks like is like the movie Ratatouille. Towards the end of the movie, I hate to spoil it, but there's this... I
haven't seen it.
I love Ratatouille. That's
Sorry,
like one of the
I haven't seen
nicknames for our son. Anyway, so not Ratatouille, Remy, but anyway. So that would be a really interesting nickname, actually.
It's
your
a
name
lot longer than his actual name. So.
That's right. More syllables. So there's a scene towards the end of the movie where this like creepy old food critic, he like eats the dish and is instantly transported back to his childhood where he's like eating that dish with his family. So that kind of picture, if you're familiar with that scene from the movie, that's basically what I think nostalgia is.
Yeah. And then even some research has been conducted to say that it's been proven that nostalgia actually works to counteract depression, which
Wow.
I have a little bit of opinion about, but we'll get to that later.
Oh,
So
that's right.
Yeah.
We share a lot of opinions on the show.
that's true.
So Rob, when he was telling us about this topic, said that nostalgia is one of the strongest human emotions or feelings or whatever. Has there been a time in your life recently that you felt nostalgia? Or
Yes, actually. I mean, I would say, to be honest, the first bit is that you mentioning Robert et al. It's like,
Sure.
oh yeah, probably for a lot of us, it's like, that's a little bit nostalgic because he's a former colleague and it's only been a few months since he's worked with us. But I was thinking about immediately, as you said his name, how we were overseas on a trip together about a year and a half ago. And we were in the Middle East, and it was a kind of crazy, very packed trip with a lot of things that didn't go like we planned. And one of the things that was kind of crazier is that we filmed this short from the roof of a building that this guy that we were going to get lunch with knew because his kids went to school there. And it was just like, okay, are you sure we're allowed to be up here? We're on this, we're some white people on this roof in this
filming
other country. Yeah. And also seeing his and Brad's bedhead was something that comes to mind. So those are fun memories of that trip, which definitely did not go perfectly. But it's easy for me to think about those more fun things instead of like, oh wait, to be transported back to that memory is actually incredibly stressful if I actually remember all the parts of it. So,
and that's so interesting how with nostalgia, I think the idea behind it is that we remember like the good and not necessarily the bad. Like people keep telling us with our child, like, oh, you're not going to remember, 3 years from now that you had to wake up at 2:30 in the morning every night because he was screaming and hungry. Or, oh, you don't have to remember all the diapers and stuff. And I was like, well, right now I remember it.
yeah.
So I'm assuming I'll forget it, but but it's like you kind of sanitize the memory into just thinking of like the good. And I guess that somehow helps with our emotional states or whatever.
And I have another one that was recent that was kind of significant. I went and visited my younger brother a couple weekends ago. And like it just hit me while I was there with him, all these like memories of our childhood. and just how weird it is. Like, oh yeah, it's supposed to be someone who literally I saw every single day. And almost, I didn't even appreciate that at all. And for half of our childhood, I was super annoyed by him. But then you're like, oh man, I used to always have this person around me and could spend time with them whenever I wanted. And then now it's like, oh, I got to drive halfway across the country and carve out a chunk of time to do that. And so I was very nostalgic. But then again, you forget like, oh yeah, we used to fight a lot and he would bug the heck out of me and all these things that were actually negatives. But there's still that feeling that's kind of like weirdly good as long as you don't think about it too much. I think that's what it is. It's like nostalgia is like, just don't think about it too hard. You know,
right.
Just remember a couple things and make it easy on yourself, and it'll feel good.
It's like nostalgia, voluntary amnesia.
Yeah. Or it's like a drug that has a lot of those different side effects, but like if you just didn't read those, it's like just talking about all the pros, you're like, oh, great. And then you flip the bottle over and it's like, oh yeah, there's tons of things that are horrible.
Side effects may include forgetting reality. I experience nostalgia relatively often, but I think there's like a couple of triggers I can think of. I still journal in the same journal that I've had since I was 9.
Wow.
So I can go back and look at how great my penmanship was in 3rd grade. And it's just fun to kind of be like, oh, okay, I can kind of remember where I was when I was writing this journal entry or whatever.
Yeah.
Or there's a couple of places around here, like in the Dallas area. I think it actually just closed down recently, but there used to be a Boston Market off of 380 McKinney.
Yeah.
And that was where my dad and I went for dinner the first time we came to Texas. So it's like every time I drive by that, I'm like, oh, that's a place. And I can just kind of envision like, okay, it was like 6 p.m. or 7 and we were driving and blah, blah, blah. So it just kind of like transports me back to that.
And you're from Boston. So the Boston Market is like a little haven
it's
of
up
like,
there.
whoa, it's just like it's like being in Boston.
What's weird is it's like, I don't know how like rotisserie chicken and turkey is like a Boston thing. You know, you think that they'd sell like clam chowder, but they don't. They've never sold clam chowder, at least as far as I know of, but they've got great turkey. So
chowder.
That's right. So yeah, like that journal's how I experience nostalgia. Sometimes like in like the late spring, early summer, if there's like a warm breeze at night, and nostalgia is super specific, right?
Yeah.
If there's a warm breeze at night that's blowing in a window, I'll feel nostalgic about playing bass in my parents' house growing up. Super random.
That is
super
very
specific.
Yeah.
But it just is like, oh yeah, I used to do that, and then you just like move on with cleaning the dishes.
That's almost
it's like,
unfair because it's like a warm breeze. You could experience that anywhere, and it's like, dang it, I gotta remember about playing bass in my parents' house again.
Yeah, seriously, it's like, yeah. Well, thankfully, those were good times. So.
Oh, okay, that's good. Yeah.
Some certain cloud formations sometimes trigger nostalgia.
I think that might be like your meteorological interests.
Yeah.
Because I don't think most people.
It's weird, and I think part of it, like one of the questions I had is nostalgia connected to deja vu? You know, because like the other day I was walking outside, just like our backyard with my kid, trying to get him to go to sleep, and I was like, weird. I feel like I've been here before, and I definitely have never done that.
Yeah.
So it's like, is it connected to deja vu, or is that something separate? Is it related in any way?
I have no idea.
You didn't do any research on this, Barnes.
Yeah. Also, do you know that
it's all speculation?
We have some French speakers in the room. But do you know that deja vu just means like already happened?
Wow.
So it's like so much less cool sounding as soon as you translate it. Like, what if you experience that and you're just like, already happened? It just like doesn't sound mystical at all. It just sounds like, okay, no, it hasn't happened, but whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you realize Panera bread is just bread. Definitely takes the atmosphere down a couple of notches.
I think I'm the same way in terms of smells and like feelings. Like I was thinking when you said the like warm breeze or whatever, when I am like outside at night in the summer and like in summer in the Texas is horrible. And so at night is like the only time it's safe to go outside. That's right. And it's like feeling that warmth where it's like, okay, it's still super warm, but there's no direct like burning heat on you. And that feeling always reminds me, because I've always lived in Texas my whole life. It reminds me like, oh yeah, this is whenever we would actually go like have fun or whatever and go outside and like go eat frozen yogurt or ice cream. It just like reminds you of a lot of those different things.
Yeah.
Another one that's sort of sensory for me is like the smell of kitty litter. But it just reminds me of like, oh yeah, I never want to have a cat ever again in my entire life. So,
you guys, you told us a couple episodes ago that you had like, you were a cat person, basically. Well, your family was cat people.
We were cat people, that's right. Yep.
Yeah. It was, we had to call people to help you guys out. Yeah, it's interesting. I think like as we've been talking, it seems like nostalgia, at least for both of us, or maybe just for me, it seems like there's a lot of physical stuff related to it, where there's like different sensations, different smells. or the wind blowing seems to lead to nostalgia, which is super interesting. That's super interesting.
And it's just weird because, like, without going into any science, it's freaky to me that there's like, okay, there's like these weird little memories that are just stuck in my brain somewhere, and it's something sensory can just bring them up.
Yeah.
And it's like, why can't I just do that whenever I want?
Sure.
Like, why can't I, or not do that whenever I want? But like, it seems like they're tucked away, and something has to trigger it, which it just freaks me out a little bit. I kind of like it, but I, for the most part, don't. It's just like,
it's
I'm like,
interesting.
I want to have control over what I remember and when, not like what I smell.
You want to be like the giver in the book.
Yeah.
The giver.
Yeah.
So to wrap up, what would you say is the verdict on nostalgia?
So we typically do a verdict of a topic as if it's, up to us whether it's good or not. And my verdict is actually a little negative on nostalgia.
Oh.
And here's why. So I feel like when the thing it said about curing depression or whatever, to me, most of the time when I feel nostalgia, I think a little bit of like the first tinge of like, oh yeah, that was fun. But then I think about the realistic nature of like, oh yeah, that was actually also hard. Like there's a lot of complexity to whatever memory I happen to be thinking of right now. And it's not all good. It's not all bad either. I don't hate the past, but I just immediately am filled with gratitude that I'm in the present. Because the idea of suddenly being like at any past point of my life, even if it's like, oh yeah, I was with that grandparent and they're not living anymore. Like I certainly cherish those memories. But the idea of being in the past instead of the present just makes me feel this weird sadness of like, I don't want to go backward. Like, even if there's things that are harder or, I don't know, more difficult, or my problems are different now or whatever, I'm thankful to be in the present because I feel like almost choosing to like bask in something in the past just feels wrong in some way. It feels like I'd have so much more to learn. Like, I also know that there's so little I knew about the world or so little I knew about myself at that time of my life. So the idea of like time traveling sort of in my memory just makes me sort of start to feel sad. And then I'm like, oh, actually, hey, I'm in the present. I've learned a lot, experienced a lot, and I'm glad to be here instead of back there.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, well, it's kind of like I think most people do experience that longing or wistful affection, whatever, for the past. But it's interesting how you kind of are like, whoa, pause button on this screen memory. And like, I'm actually have grown a long way or whatever.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I think nostalgia is definitely a really interesting, I would agree, it's a powerful human emotion. But I think you summed up pretty well that I think if we're able to kind of learn from our past and see how we're doing in the present and how it's affected us, I think it can help us keep moving forward. So, but it's okay. I think it is okay still to have those nostalgic feelings. So, yeah.
That's it. So nostalgia.
Slogans.
And we're never going to feel nostalgic about this moment either. So don't. Yeah. I promise.
Yeah, 30 years from now, we'll be sitting in a conference room and be like, hey, remember that one time?
Yeah. The feeling of very polished fake wood always makes me think of my time back in the conference room. Okay, well, should we wrap up?
Yeah, we should wrap up.
So that was nostalgia. Robert, thank you for suggesting that topic. Sorry it took us 2 years to do it.
Yeah, thanks, Robert.
It seems like it was good timing, though. So if you're out there listening, thank you. And
thank you to all of you in here for being part of this live episode. We'll see if it was a hit.
Yeah, we'll see. The stats will tell whether we got, 10 listens or 12.
We lost all of our subscribers. What happened? And Jam left too. Oh no.
Oh no. As always, you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter and everything. And we'll see you guys very soon with more episodes.
We'll see you in another screen memory. Bye.
Bye.